Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network. This is our special Saturday edition called Step Up Your Game with Dan. I'm your host, Dan Hanford, and I'll be discussing topics to help you make better decisions to increase your productivity, increase your sales, and improve your overall marketing. Visit toughdecisions.net to sign up for our free weekly entrepreneur email. Before we get started, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HanfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORD Capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit HanfordCapital.com. On the podcast with us today is Scott Carson. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, man, I'm excited to be here, Dan. Thank you so much for having me. All jacked up, man, ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. Well, I love your energy, and I'm really looking forward to this episode. So I want you to first kick us off by talking to us a little bit about your background as an entrepreneur and where your current focus is right now.
Yeah, glad to. I've been an entrepreneur since early on. I'll tell you that since I was a young kid. But Austin, Texas is home. I'm the CEO of WeCloseNotes.com, which is a boutique real estate investing and education firm that specializes in buying distressed mortgages from banks and hedge funds that we can then reach out to the borrowers and try to get them to reinstate and modify with us, and then we keep the properties for cash flow or the notes for cash flow. But graduated a business degree in 2001, like many other people, and decided to go in the workforce and bounced around a little bit. Was the number one sales rep for Verizon Wireless for a while here. Can you hear me now? Moved into banking with JP Morgan Chase, and then eventually hooked up with a buddy of mine and got into the mortgage industry back in 2004. Where we're doing a lot of real estate investor loans on rentals and cash out refis, and then creative financing with a couple real estate entrepreneurs, and was traveling the country, doing this stuff at big expos and big workshops, 1,500 people back in the heyday between 2004. And then everything stopped in 2008 when everything hit the fan, you know what I mean? And so sold off my part of the mortgage company for $1. That's about what it was worth at that point. And started doing full-time real estate investing. And between 2008 and 2010, that's when I transitioned and stopped doing a lot of other things in the real estate community and just went straight to focusing on buying distressed debt and distressed mortgages.
So, this particular episode is our Saturday show. It's our show that we call Step Up Your Game with Dan. And I like to invite experts onto this particular show that, we have interviews with, and I just really feel like would be a great value and kind of dive a little bit deeper into some of the things that you're working on. And we had our interview with you a couple of weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I just really felt like you'd be a great person to be able to have on this episode. And so one of the topics that I really wanted to dive in a little bit deeper with you on was some of the unique things that you're doing to be able to attract some of the people into your WeCloseNotes.com business.
Yeah, I've been on both sides. Like in 2010, I sold everything I owned in Austin, Texas. I started traveling the country, speaking, going to real estate clubs and talking to bankers and going to everything I could. And that was great. It really did amazing things for my business. And then we were doing workshops like many other real estate experts. I won't say gurus because not everybody's a guru, but doing workshops, and that takes a lot of work to drive people to get 100, 200 people into a hotel. And, that's a $20, $30, $40, $50,000 overhead depending on how big the event is. And in 2014, it's hard to believe time flies when you're having fun. I was working on an event. We're going to do a big event in Houston, and it just bombed. I think I talked about this in the earlier podcast. It just totally bombed. I wrote a big check to the hotel and told all the speakers not to come to it. And out of that blossomed this idea of doing a virtual event. And I've done webinars since 2011 on a pretty regular basis, almost every Monday night to our tribe. And I said, well, why can't we just do a webinar-based event for a couple days? Because nobody was doing it in the note industry. There was a few people that were doing it in the real estate community, but they weren't really focused on it. It was just a side thing, and they do it once, and they didn't really plan a lot for it. They decided to try to really treat it like it was a true hotel event, and it's a total different atmosphere that you have to do. And so that's what we did. We decided to do an online boot camp for 3 days for one of our virtual note buying workshops. I think 75 people show up out of 100 that paid to be a part of it at $5.99. We had our speakers still come on like we normally do at the other event.
75 of 100?
Yeah.
Wow. So people paid and they still didn't even show up for the 3-day event.
Well, that's the truth. And that's pretty normal for a true hotel event.
Oh,
you're going to have about a 25% no-show rate, or 50 or more if it's a lower price point. But we were like, oh, this is easier. I got to sleep in my own bed at night. The overhead was cheap. I wasn't paying $85 a gallon for coffee.
Yeah, I've been there before.
Yeah, exactly. And it went well. So I immediately revolutionized how we did our business. So we canceled all our hotel events for our 5 or 6 workshops we do. And then we added, we decided to do a note convention that we call Note Camp. And the first time we did it, we had 365 people that paid to be a part of it. The price point was like $299. We had we had about 25 different speakers over 4 days come on. Everybody just raved about it because they got all this stuff. They didn't have to leave their house, their office. Heck, some people watched it poolside. Some people listened to it because it was mobile friendly, so they could listen to it on their smartphones while driving across the country or doing other things. And it just has blossomed from there. From the first time where we had 365 to now we are over 1,000 consistently joining us.
How often are you doing those?
Doing twice a year. We do one in April, and we do one. We actually got one coming up here in a couple weeks in November, 15th through the 18th. But
and they're still $299.
Yeah, we've upped the price a little bit. It's if at full price right before the event's $5.99, but it's usually $2.99 or $3.99, so it's still very affordable.
Sure.
When you consider that we do a couple different things. Is that for those that attend all 4 days, at some point we actually give the registration list out to everybody, so it helps boost their networking. They don't have to worry about trying to run and connect with everybody.
So all the speakers get access to the entire people who are attending.
Everybody, even the people that attended, get the registration list.
Oh, wow.
A little different. We also use a message board called Basecamp so that everybody can get into there and share.
Basecamp myself too.
Great thing. Although it can kill your email if you're not ready for having 800 people commenting back and forth.
So first off, I want to get some clarification on the 3-day virtual events, because I've been a part of some of these 3-day virtual events and I look at them and how many of the people that actually are trying to come to these 3-day virtual events are spending the entire time like they would normally do at a regular event?
75%.
So 75% of the actual sessions they're being a part of and they're actively engaging into it.
Yep.
And how do you take into account, or how do you make up for the networking side of it? Because a lot of times going to an event, the networking is really where you're making your money.
So the beautiful thing about that is we do a really great job of, on all our events, we actually share the registration list. So if you were to come as an attendee, and if you're there, at least sometime during the 3 days for at least an hour, we'll send you the registration list, which has everybody's name, phone number, email address, LinkedIn handle, so you can network with people outside of there. We also use Basecamp.com for people to be able to network before, during, and after the event. We'll keep those Basecamp groups up for 6 months after event.
So how are you utilizing Basecamp? Because I have a Basecamp account. I'm trying to figure out how you guys are actually utilizing that.
Now, that's a great question. So we use Basecamp to share all the documents. So if somebody comes on with a presentation, or we have a checklist, or we have a huge manual, like a 200-page manual, so we just upload it to Basecamp. It beats us having to go print it all out, 200 copies of it, and then just ends up on somebody's shelf. You know what I mean? That they're never going to use. So we use that, and then we just ask questions. What they like to see the most. We also post the replay links to Basecamp, so people have the opportunity to catch the replays. They've got to go to Basecamp to check that out. And then once everybody's gone through a workshop, we then also add them to our private Facebook group as well too, so they can stick with all the other students. And that's a private group. We're just under 1,000 members of that. Some people are, a big part of that, people don't want to be on the Facebook group, which is fine.
Again, as you're talking, I love this because I'm coming up with questions along this entire thing. So
Good.
This episode is almost selfish for me because this is stuff that I want to know, but I know that the listeners are probably listening to this too going, hey, I'm curious about this too. So
hey, you're not the only one. Like a lot of podcasters getting a podcast and they want to do an event of some sort or summit. And, it's daunting on them when they start looking at the budget they need to have on that aspect of things. And I've shared this with quite a few people. It's not that difficult. It's easier than you expect. The fact that Zoom records everything here makes it really easy to upload the replays. You even do polls. This is another thing that we do with our semi-annual convention is we do a big survey. It's like 25 questions. And besides just their name, how many deals did they close in the last year? How many deals have they closed in total? Do they have a self-directed IRA account? If so, are they looking to joint venture? Yes, no, or maybe. What social media handles or social media profiles do they use? Do they have an LLC? Do they need a new one? Do they have a website? What is that? Who's their servicer? What's their major focus? Performing, non-performing, owner finance. We ask, it's like 25 questions that really help us do a deep dive down. And what's amazing, Dan, is we get like a 35% completion rate on the surveys. Normal average is from around 10 to 20% for the most part for an online event.
If that.
Exactly, if that. But we get 30% because we take the same survey results and we give the results to those that filled out the survey.
Oh, so if they fill out the survey, they get everybody's results.
Yeah. They can't go in there and put like some BS email or BS phone number. I mean, if they do that, I just take them off. Mm-hmm. That allows us, the survey results help us make the next event even better. Bring on speakers, identify what they liked, what they disliked, what their biggest strengths is, biggest weaknesses, and be able to focus on the curriculum for the next one to really maximize.
So what software are you using to manage the actual event itself? Is it just basically Zoom that you're just basically launching meeting after meeting after meeting?
No, it'll be the same link all 8 hours of the day. So we just repeat it for 3 days. And then with our workshops, our 3-day, dummies workshop, there's just same Zoom thing for 3 days. With our convention, though, our Note Camp convention, we do 2 Zoom rooms. So I'll run one room, and then Steph, my VP of operations, and my significant other, she'll host the other room with speakers, and there's a schedule. So if somebody doesn't want to watch me speak on something or somebody else that they've heard speak, they can jump over, click on the other link, and go over and watch the other speaker in the other Zoom room.
So you're actually, in each one of these rooms, you're actually listing a schedule of what's coming up next.
Yes.
So they can always see that. And that's all part of the integration with Zoom.
That's correct.
This is brilliant. I'm loving this. So what are you using for getting people to register for the event?
We use Infusionsoft, so that it's a product there. And, leadpages.com, which, if you go to notecamp.live, you can see the schedule of last year where I'm updating that schedule here soon. But like we had Sharon Lecter, who's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, as a keynote speaker last time. We had Emmy Award-winning Rhonda Britton, who's a talk show counselor, was on the Oprah Network and things like that about being a life coach. She was as a keynote speaker last time. So what's really great is our speakers and vendors love this because they don't have to pay the overhead to ship a screen out, to ship a display out. Mm-hmm. They can often speak. We often have a lot of speakers that are speaking at another event that same weekend that they just go up in their hotel room, jump on, and they can kill 2 events at one time.
I can see that for sure. Yeah. So basically with Infusionsoft and Lead Pages connected, you could use something, similar like ClickFunnels or some of the lead generations just to get the registrations. Yeah. And are you connecting them to the Zoom platform via Zapier, or are you using Zapier at all in any of these connections?
No, I'm not using Zapier. I probably should, but what we require them to go ahead and register. We require them to register for the Zoom. It's, they register once, they can be in all 3 days, but then we can just go back and identify who was there and who wasn't there to get an attendance ratio.
Okay, so I haven't done the Zoom rooms yet, but it's very similar to like a Zoom webinar where you go in there and you put the information and the schedule and stuff like that.
Well, we don't use the Zoom rooms. We actually use 2 separate Zoom accounts.
Okay.
And it's a separate link, and then I just use a bit link to make it very similar. Like NoteCamp 6 room 1, NoteCamp 6 room 2 is the bit link, basically. So then all they do is click on that link. It takes them to the right registration page. Once they register, they're logged in and good to go.
Okay. And revenue share. When you're inviting speakers on, obviously you're not probably paying those speakers to be there, are you? What about your keynote? Are you paying your keynote or anything? So you're not paying any of your speakers but yourself, because you're paying yourself, hopefully. But how are you doing like a revenue share or tapping into their audience to be able to get them to be able to promote the event too?
We give them links to promote, and then they'll drive into it, and we use specific codes or affiliate codes for them to sell tickets, so they get a split of ticket sales. What we do when we have speakers that are providing or selling a workshop, we always require them to give 60 minutes of content and then 15 minutes of the pitch. So each speaking session is basically 75 minutes long, and then we have a 50 between sessions. That way we've got a buffer for if they run a little bit long, or it also allows for the next speaker to come on to get all set up, and allows for us to hit stop, stop the recording and then restart it back up, reshare it to Facebook. Because that's one of the things that helps out as well too, Dan, is we Facebook share each session, and we'll get another 1,500 views on that share.
Wow.
Over the next week. And we'll get some people that watch that don't pay, but we see increase sales over the next 7 days on the Facebook Live replays from people watching the replays and then buying the workshop or anything like that. And then we just do a normal 50-50 affiliate split with the speakers. So if they sell a class at $997, I don't care if they collect on their side, as long as they're paying me my split.
So if they sell something, you're doing a 50-50 split with them?
Just like a normal event thing.
And then on your side from the revenue share, are you doing a very similar thing as far as whenever they're selling tickets? Are you giving them more of the split, or is it just 50-50? Okay, it's always just 50-50.
Yeah.
All in, what are your costs to run one of these things?
It used to be about $1,000, which is the cost to bring up a buddy of mine and stay at the hotel room for 3 days, and then Zoom software and stuff like that. But honestly, it's less than $1,000. You know, when you look at we do boost. You know, we'll do ads to some of the really great speakers to drive extra traffic to their video replays. Another thing that we do that's actually, I take this back, it's a little bit more than that, because what we do is on our conventions, we'll have 30 sessions. And so we'll take each session on Zoom and use the audio and turn it into its own podcast. So its own, like Note Camp, like we had Note Camp 5 was the one we just did, and we uploaded that as its podcast and blogs as well. And so that cost me about $2,500 with the production company to do all that and get it up and loaded and do the transcription and everything, create blogs out of it. But we had over 15,000 downloads of those replays from over 6 months ago.
Wow. This is crazy, man. So you may not want to tell me, but ballpark, if you were to guess, from obviously it's costing you $1,000, when you put on one of these events, let's just say you have two types of events you said you do. You said you do your conference or your convention, and then you do a different one. What was the other one called?
My more nuts and bolts boot camp is just me speaking for the most part.
So just the boot camp's just you speaking. So let's go back to your conference where you have 25 speakers and, you know, the whole hoopla in 3 days and all this kind of stuff. A little more time intensive from you, because just 3 days of just basically locking yourself in a room, managing this thing, you know, hour by hour or whatever. What's your bottom line on that one?
As far as what we take home?
Yeah.
It varies. Usually we're going to see around at least 20 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on who we have as speakers. We try to do a good mixture of 50% just pure content. Like we'll have some students on that aren't selling anything, or vendors that are on. And then we'll have a good chunk of at least probably a third that are selling boot camps and workshops. And some people do really well and other people just bomb. And that just, it's a matter of that. But we're bringing people on. I mean, last time we did 6 months ago, we had about 25 grand in sales from the weekend, and we had another 15 that came within 30 days of people following up. And, you know, but that's the great thing, is that our speakers, when they get the list, you know, in our agreement, it's like, hey, mark it to the list 30 days afterwards. Here's the replay. If you get any sales in the next 30 days, Greg gives us a split. Anything after 30 days, don't worry about it. You ain't got to do a split with us.
And it's all on our system?
Some of them will have us do it in our own Infusionsoft. We'll upload their product into our Infusionsoft and then we'll collect on our end. It is on the honor system, and we've had a few people pay late on their splits, but these are people that I know and trust. Since it's in a niche community, they all want to pay because they all want to be invited back. That makes sense?
Yeah. And so let me ask you the next question of speakers. So how do you find, and how long does it take you to get 25 speakers to confirm and say yes? And how do you get them all scheduled?
Well, I use my regular podcast to help out with that.
Sure.
So we have them on as guests throughout the 6 months or throughout the year as special sessions on our podcast, the No Closer Show. And so we'll add, you know, people to it, and it doesn't take long to schedule. I've already got half the schedule done, and I only started like 2 days ago, and I'll have everything finalized, the final schedule finalized by this weekend. And it's just a matter of fitting everybody into the spots. I mean, we start at noon on Thursday, run to like 5 o'clock on Thursday, 9 to 5 on Friday and Saturday. And then we only do one room on Sunday because the attendance drops on Sunday, but we'll do it from 9 to 3. And actually sales on Sunday are often the best than they are on Saturday.
So Thursday's 12 to 5, and then 9 to 5 Friday, Saturday, and then 9 to 3 on Sunday.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because people are going to show up before noon on Thursday. You know, Friday and Saturday are heaviest attended. Sunday, it's lighter, so I didn't want to water down those that were speaking on Sunday, and it makes it a lot more focused. We'll usually only have like 4 or 5 sessions on Sunday, but we'll leave it open.
And so all the sessions, though, are that 60, 15, 15.
Yep.
60 minutes content, 15-minute pitch, and then a 15-minute break so you can stop the recording, get the next speaker ready to go, and then launch.
But we also, what's great during that 15-minute spot is since it's using Zoom, we use PowerPoint. We pull PowerPoint slides as advertising, promoting like the keynotes, or promoting a special sale, promoting a discount. One thing we've done in the past, if somebody signed up for 4 things, they get a 5th one for free.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and I didn't take it out of the speaker's commission. I took it out of my commission on that. So I still made more money because I really wasn't losing really anything. It made a discount, but it made a bulk package nice for people.
Sure.
So,
do you sell recordings afterwards?
recordings are included. We don't sell those.
Included with it because after every session, you're taking those and launching them on Basecamp.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have the replays done usually by 3 days later. I don't do a lot of editing to it. It's just a Zoom video here. So as long as I recorded it and started and stopped it, I can upload it to YouTube or Vimeo as a private channel and then share it with them. So because the sooner they get the replays, the more valuable it is. I don't know about you, but I've gone to enough events and it took 6 months for them to get me the replays. It was worthless. I never got a chance to watch them because I was too busy.
Yeah. So I know you spent quite a bit of money on those vinyl lettering behind you on your wall there.
$300.
$300. So are you the one introducing every speaker so they get to kind of see you and you're promoting that every time?
Except in the other room, it's Stephanie, who's my VP of operations. So I'll introduce them here.
For her week close notes on behind her desk?
She does. It's not the vinyl one. She's got a nice FedEx foam board sign behind her.
I thought maybe you were going to say she's got like little foam letters that you had your kids cut out for you.
No kids here.
No kids yet.
They don't really care what it looks like behind her because she's so pretty.
So you're trying to make up for your lack right there, huh?
Oh yeah, exactly. Totally.
So my next topic I wanted to dive into here, which I'm having a lot of fun with this. This is great. This is a lot of good content, very actionable content. I'll give you your 15-minute pitch in a minute now. Vendors. Talk to me about vendors. How are you finding vendors? What are you charging the vendors? How are they kind of mixing in with all this?
So my vendors, I don't really charge. I let them come on because they're like my servicers or other attorneys. I don't really charge them. They usually make up my half of pure content. Okay. Now what we do have done in the past is if for $500 they want us to run a slide for an advertising or something that they're promoting, we'll do that at $500, or we'll give them a page in the virtual PDF manual that we create. Mm-hmm. And that's another nice thing for everybody too, is that we have a manual. It's got the schedule, links to where they need to go. It's interactive PDF. So they click on the link, it can take them to their website or their LinkedIn profile. And then we also put in one page ad flyer. So that the manual ended up being like 40 pages deep, so it's nice and thick with ads and all sorts of great things about their profile and stuff like that, the speakers. So it makes it really easy for people, like you're at an actual event. So if you want to go print this, great. You can. If not, you can just look at it online and it becomes a really valuable tool to take with you.
So what's been your best event so far?
Best event so far would have been probably the third Note Camp 3.0. We had 1,500 paid attendees. We had
those are the ones that are just you speaking, right?
No, this is the event where we had 30 plus speakers at the Note Camp. We hit the right stride there. We knew exactly where to do. We had everything kind of tied down with the ads and the PowerPoint slides and the transitions and getting everything recorded properly. Some people say we give away too much, and we probably give away more than we probably should do, but it just makes it such a valuable thing. We've had some people have repeated been every 5 times we've done it. They're already paid for the 6th time that we've done it. And that says a lot when you got somebody who's been around every 6 months at least for an event, for 3.5 years straight. We really value that. We'll get T-shirts made up and then sometimes surprise them with T-shirts that we ship out directly to them so they can wear it. Another valuable thing, Dan, is we actually get more advertising from the actual attendees than our vendors a lot of times, because we'll run social media contests throughout the event for Note Camp. So we'll use specific hashtags and, hey, if you use an infographic. And so we award a social media winner every day.
Following up to the event? Yeah,
well, every day of the event. So like on Friday morning, we'll award the social media winner on Thursday, those that posted the most or that shared the most or created the most. And they may get a Yeti mic or a webcam or something like that. We do that every day. And then we pick one grand winner at the end of the conference. And they end up usually winning a spot in my coaching program, which is like a $15,000 ticket.
Man, you got a wealth of knowledge, my friend.
Another thing we do as well, too, Dan, it helps with the SEO, is once we've uploaded the videos as podcasts, we transcribe each issue and it becomes its own specific blog on the website, too. So that's boosted our SEO optimization as well.
So things that you were doing following or leading up to the event to promote it is obviously you're getting your speakers to promote it and send out to their audience and sell tickets and do rev splits and stuff like that.
Yep.
What else are you doing to advertise this outside of, I think you had mentioned also doing some maybe like some paid sponsorships or paid ads on Facebook to certain speakers' audience or something?
Yeah, we'll do that. My marketing director, Shannon, does a lot of social media posts. Especially we'll do different discounts, Columbus Day discount, Black Friday discounts, that kind of stuff, Halloween discounts. We do, hey, if they sign up for our 3-day boot camp in November, they'll get a ticket in November 30th, they'll get a ticket to Note Camp. So for $5.99 for a virtual workshop, they'll get a ticket to the convention as well too. We just do different things. We run special discounts out there. We actually have reached out to and offered up a brand ambassador program too, that if people want to promote to their lists, we'll pay them a rev share of anybody that signs up using their discount code. And we provide social media posts or images for them to use. Like if Gail sends out to her database, hey, I'm going to be at Note Camp 6, or you get extra 10% off by using code Gail. So, $3.99 is a ticket, they get 10% off, and then we'll give her a 10 to 20% split of tickets depending on where she's at and how many sales she's made.
Do you ever have speakers that accidentally just not show up? Have you ever had that happen?
We've only had one do that.
You just let that hour go by, or did you try to fill it with some content?
I filled it. I always have a backup presentation. So in case it happens, I fill in with a session, something I would talk about. I always have a wild card session, something I can talk about in case that I'm backup, in case they don't show. And that guy, the person that doesn't show, since we do this Thursday through Sunday, Monday nights, I run a regular webinar called Note Night in America. So if somebody misses, I can schedule them in on Monday night as a backup in case they don't show. But we've only had one person.
Did you ever do panels?
Oh, yeah, we do panels. We do panels with 4 or 5 people on a panel. We don't do a lot of panels on events. I think it's filler. There's like a conference like IMN, who's big in our industry, that they do nothing but panels. Like your speakers only have like 10 minutes to speak. They can't really share any really great stuff on it. So we only try to limit to like 1 panel a day, usually at the end of the day, and keep it just to that, because I want people getting content. I want people getting really good deep dives into the information so they walk away with some really, because Note Camp stands for content, actions, marketing, and profits. That's how I came up with that. So
say that one more time.
Content, actions, marketing, and profits. Those are the 4 pillars of our Note Camp.
That's awesome. So a couple other things that I'm thinking about here is with these virtual events, have you ever tried to maybe do them on like the beginning of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that, instead of always doing them on the weekends?
People just wouldn't show up. I mean, I would tell you this, I've never done that, but it would be harder for people to be there the entire time because of work. And so the thing is that we've experienced doing different events, like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the attendance was always down because people had to go to work or they had something happen. Thursday through Sunday was always worked better, a much higher attendance ratio, almost double. And so that's what we look at. We don't expect Thursday to be a high attendance ratio, but at least we're getting some extra speakers in for extra content. And that's why we kick off at noon, because then some people are taking off from work. They don't have to miss 3 days of work or 2 days of work. They only have to miss like 1.5.
Mm-hmm. This is phenomenal. So how do you decide when to do these events? Like how often, and what makes you decide to like what dates you're going to choose and pick and stuff like that too?
So I look at the other conference schedules. So I look at the other conference schedules and try to schedule around them. Now, I'm going to be straight up and honest here. My August and September were so crazy busy that I had to push out my conference from the end of September to the middle. I pushed it out 60 days just because I didn't have a chance to market as good as I should have. Okay. So that's the reason I pushed it out, so I'd have more time to market. It's been well worth it. It felt like the weekend before Thanksgiving, so people really aren't going to be traveling that much. They're going to be at home. But we do it. We don't try to schedule it the same weekend as another event. Now, what's funny, the last one we did in April, we had that event scheduled for like 6 months from the previous time when we did it. Well, somebody went out and decided to schedule their event the same weekend as ours. And they went out and got similar speakers, which there's no problem. They had some crossover. But they went then and scheduled the speakers the same time that they had scheduled for our event. We'd had our event scheduled published for a while. So they tried to schedule at the same time, and all the speakers said, well, sorry, I can't do that time. I'm already scheduled with Scott, so you're going to have to reschedule at your event.
I can definitely see that because I know even right now some of the in the space that I'm in with the multifamily investing, there's two people that have events on the same weekend. I'm like, I wish I could go to both of them, but I can't. Could you guys like coordinate this a little bit better next time?
But it's thing, they're only hurting themselves. That's the thing. If you schedule things the same weekend, you're only hurting yourself. And I took my ego out of this a long time ago. And what's funny is we've had people that we've promoted other events. And when I go up to the event, I see 75% of my students and only 25% newbies. I'm like, okay, I know who marketed this event was me. I'm not getting paid for it. So we haven't marketed other people's events, or I haven't spoken to those other events just because I was like, it's not worth me going to if it's going to be the same people I see every time. I want new blood. You know what I mean? And so we just said, okay, when's everybody else going to do their schedule? And let's pick out a weekend that works the best, and we work around it. And people love that. I mean, they're not paying airfare. They're not paying hotel bills. They're eating their own food. They're sleeping in their bed. If something happens to the family, they're there to take care of it. They're not going to miss anything because the replays are there a day or two later. It's a beautiful thing for everybody.
Basecamp. I wanted to go back to Basecamp, and then we'll wrap it up with this. When you're launching Basecamp, you're obviously inviting these people to the Basecamp because you're basically just paying the 1 monthly fee for Basecamp that they have there, but you're inviting these people as outside people to participate in the event. And so you might have, I don't know, like you said, like 1,000 to 1,500 people that are part of each one of these Basecamp projects, because it's typically a project management software, and you're inviting them to it. And how are you organizing it inside of the project management software? That's kind of where my headspace is right now, trying to figure out how that works.
So let me pull it up here and I'll just tell you exactly what it is. Because you have basically you have your team and then you have clients.
Mm-hmm.
So when I invite somebody to Basecamp, they're not invited as the team, they're invited as a client.
And that's probably where you could be benefiting from Zapier, is when they register for the event, you can have it connect automatically and add them to that.
I just got to set that up. I totally agree with it, but it's also nice for us to go through and manually add them too on a lot of times, because it just helps us. Okay, have you added this person? And I'll tell you this, we've had people that we've booted out Basecamp too. So that's the thing is, when somebody registers, we should do it. I'm not going to lie, we should set it up for automated, but it's nice because I'll go to an event sometimes, like I'm going to an event in Temple. There'll probably be 30 people at the event. I'm just going to go ahead and give them all spots for free. Okay. Just here, fill out your information. I'll comp you into the event if you're interested in going. I rarely comp people in, but I'll comp them in if it's a special event, something like that, where they paid for me to come out to the event. So, okay, I'll comp you all into the event, and then I just got a list, and I just upload them into the Basecamp and go from there. So, as a mass dump.
So are you basically are you using to-do lists? Are you using the text documents on there? What are you actually using to present the content?
I'm not hardly using any of that stuff in Basecamp. Basecamp's basically we're just using it almost solely for a message board and for us to post documents and files to it. That's about it.
Are you organizing it by session for messages, or
nope?
Just having like a general message dump?
General message.
Okay.
General message. So,
man, are you using Basecamp 2.0 or 3.0?
I think 3.0 now, or 2.0, I'm not sure. I got to take a look.
Because I'm stuck in 2.0 because they won't upgrade you from 2.0 to 3.0. You basically have to get rid of your old account and open up a new one.
Yeah, I'm in 2.0 then for sure, because I have way too many files open in my Basecamp right now, because we use it for every workshop we do. We use it for every mastermind that we do. And we also use it for every note camp that we do. And then also any coaching we have, where we have got like weekends where we'll have like 8 to 10 coaching students come in, and we'll dump files into there for them to use it when they take back. So I don't have to buy for thumb drives or to buy anything or print anything out. It just goes in the file folder. It's totally evergreen.
Sure. So here is the last thing I'm going to ask you is about your event coming up, WeCloseNotes.com. What's the event coming up? They're going to be one of these virtual events. And maybe if there's a listener listening and they're like very curious about the whole process or the setup, or even about closing notes and stuff, that whole business side of it, because we didn't even dive into that at all. What can they do to register for that, or maybe even get a little bit of a discount or something like that?
I will tell you what, Dan, I'll do your group a favor. If they go to notecamp.live, they can check out the schedule, check out the speakers. And if they email me at scott@weclosenotes.com and say, hey, Dan the man, I'll comp them in to NoteCamp.
Awesome. That's a great opportunity, and I will take you up on that as well. So comp me in. You have my email. You have all my information. Would love to be a part of that, to experience it. And you said it's the weekend before Thanksgiving?
Well, that's my workshop. It's the next one that's coming up here in like 3 weeks is NoteCamp 6.0, Content Actions, Marketing Profits. That's the behemoth event of the year that we do. That's the 15th through the 18th of November.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to be with us here today, Scott. You've been amazing. And I knew you would be from our first interview, and look forward to maybe even having you on my next virtual event that I will most likely be putting on in the next 2 months, just from our conversation here.
I'm glad to hear it, and I am glad to help you out. Like, we have helped people, other companies do this. Like Quest IRA now does a virtual summit once a year on behalf of us, and they did it because we had them on ours. So we've helped them out with that. George Antone, the Banker's Code author and finance, he's doing more virtual events because he doesn't want to travel nearly as much as he used to. So I will tell you this right now, I am glad to help. I am glad to help you out and tweak some things, or help you specialize in a couple of things I think that can help make it profitable for you.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for being on. Look forward to connecting some more, and I will put on my next event. So mark that down now, and I will make sure that this episode releases before your next event, so we can make sure we get you some additional attendees there too.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you so much, Scott. Hope you have a good day.
You too, bud.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email, where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.